Take this kiss upon thy brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream. A
Mor-
dream within.
Morgan,
Morgan, are
what are
you
you
awake?
doing?
Morgan, we got to do
What's
first page
happening?
critique.
I'm oh yeah, I'm totally awake.
That was weird.
Yeah, what's the first page about again?
I think it starts with a dream. So you all must be in the right spot because we are here to do our first page critique. And this time we have a dystopian fantasy to do.
Ooh, I'm excited.
And
But
Within a dream. Let's go.
I like it.
before we
But
jump
before we
in,
get started,
all right, you take it. You take it.
I'm Teresa.
This is Molly.
Which makes me Morgan.
Oh, thank goodness, I was worried. And we're doing first page critiques. So, first time joining us, we followed the even better if method, which means that we tell you what we really like about your story. And then we've got some ideas to make it just a little bit better.
Yep. I love it.
And if you
All
love
Dream
it
right.
as
big, girl.
well, don't forget to like and subscribe because we're a small channel and we're trying to grow. All
Yeah,
right.
we are.
I think I get to read today, right?
Heck yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump on in. So the piece we have today is called Omniscient. The ground shook. A train howled. Her sister screamed. It was just a dream. Maya's heart hammered in her chest as she jolted up. Her hands were clammy, gripping her thin blanket so tight her fingers started to cramp. Sweat trickled down her forehead as she tried to remind herself repeatedly that the scenario was simply a horrid fantasy inside her mind, no different than every other night the same nightmare played out. Still, images of the terrible explosion and the disappearing train stayed etched in her brain. A mixture of echoes from the past and fears of the future all fused together. The dream had become so recurring that by now Maya was sure she could describe every little detail of it. It was expected, normal. But when Maya saw the person responsible for her awakening, she remembered with a deep sense of foreboding that this was not a normal day. It was one she had been dreading since the second she and her sister created their plan. Every birthday leading up to it served as a painful reminder of the day to come. It weighed down on her like boulders in her pockets, a gravitational pull that threatened to drag her under. The one thought that offered the slightest reassurance was that there was still time. But time had not so slowly ticked by, and before she knew it, the date had finally arrived. Her sister's 18th birthday. The day Amari would leave the old farm for good.
Ooh.
What great stakes. Way to get it right on the page. Brilliantly done. The genre conventions are clear and clean. The description is tight. Like, excellent job showing and not telling. Usually we tell people not to open with a dream, but I don't know what you guys think, but for me, this really, really worked.
I actually really like that it opened with a dream. I think sometimes there's confusion with the idea of don't open a book with a dream or with a character waking up. What they're actually talking about is don't start a book or a story with the character waking up and rolling out of bed and pulling on pants and then going and brushing their teeth. And that's what they're talking about. That's not how this story started at all. This story starts with a really firm hook and a lot of questions. What nightmares? What train? What explosion? What on earth happened? Why is she having nightmares every single night?
What's the
And why is
plan?
this normal?
Yeah. And what's the plan? What have her and sister been planning? Why is leaving the farm such a scary thing? It's so Animal Farm, right? It's really pulling in Animal Farm vibes for me, and the Giver vibes, a lot of like dystopian.
It for me, it pulls in Hunger Game vibes. right? So when we talk about like genre, right, that's what we're saying here. Like it's pulling, it's reminding us of famous books in this genre, which is good. That's what you want. You like it when that's often a very good thing when your reader opens it and they're like, "Oh, I'm getting what I expect. I expect dystopian fantasy. This feels like home to me."
And this is what I wanted. I picked this up because I wanted this kind of stakes. I wanted this kind of imagination. And I wanted this kind of tension from the first page. So, I mean, this is really good writing. Can we do even better, Ziff? Can we help at all?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a couple of things that I think could like bring it to the next level. So thing one is very specific. So we have you do really good, like Morgan's saying, with showing, not telling. But I think that there is one place where I want actually like a little bit more. And that is where we're down here where it's like a deep sense of foreboding. It was what, you know, and then talking about the day, it was one she had been dreading. And this is one place where I know you don't have to show all the time. Sometimes telling is a more efficient way of getting across something. But I would like to see this idea played out a little bit more because I think it could be more powerful here on the first page. So, what does dread, what does this deep sense of foreboding feel like to this character? Is it her clothes don't fit right? Everything is itchy? Is it she can't stop thinking about where her, like physically where her sister is? You know, is her sister in the room next to her? What is her sister like? How are her thoughts being processed? Just, you know, there's a lot of things that you can do here to kind of make the reader feel more dread because you're expanding it out a little bit. You're dwelling in that feeling, that anxious feeling that can bring it home more for the reader. The other thing that I think it would be interesting to do is I'd love to see you play maybe with this idea and also with this concept of time. So you really get some interesting thoughts about time, right? The birthdays leading up to it and, you know, painful reminders. And then you have this idea that the time had not so slowly ticked by. And I just feel like it's really close to being something really, really interesting. And I'm not sure exactly how to tie that in with the anxiousness or the foreboding, or like if you could grammatically, like, you know, do something interesting with like ticking, ticking, ticking clock or something. I don't know exactly what the answer is here. And maybe it's a dead idea, but it's really interesting to me because you're setting something up that's really cool here.
Nice.
I'm going to
I
jump
like
in
it.
this one. I'm a
Yeah.
little confused on what woke the main character up. So as I read the text, it says she screamed, and then my sister screamed. And then the next line is, it was just a dream, which makes me think that the scream of her sister in her dream woke her up. But then a few lines later, it says, but when Maya saw the person responsible for her awakening, she remembered the deep sense of foreboding. And for me, that's a clarity issue that I think needs to be a little bit resolved. So is it the sister next to you? Like what actually woke you up on the train? And I think maybe you guys can push back and there's something that I'm missing, but to me, there's two things going on. And the sister scream and the plan with the sister seems well developed on the first page. But this it's almost like a throwaway line that this person is just like woke her up. But we don't get any like we don't get a hand on the shoulder, we don't get his voice, we don't have any idea or her voice. We don't have any idea what that has to do with all of the other piece of it. And so if this is important later on, maybe just a little bit more about what actually woke her up or how the two things were synonymous, or I don't know.
I'll push back slightly on it. I don't necessarily disagree. The question is, where is the focus of this supposed to be? Is it on the dream and is it on kind of the day? And is the person responsible at this point not really, doesn't really matter. So just something to think about. I don't necessarily disagree with Morgan, but I don't know, might be something to play with.
Yeah, so I think this is a symptom Teresa talked about one reason that people often are told not to start their book, specifically their book, with a dream. But another reason is that it is can be difficult for readers for clarity, right? Like at the very beginning of a book, you don't know where you're at, you don't know who you're with, you don't have any context for what is happening. So if you start the very beginning of your book with a dream, that can sometimes be hard for readers to distinguish what was dream, what was reality, and where clarity is. Like where are things physically, where am I at, what's real, what's not. And that can be an issue, right? So I think it's a symptom, like Morgan's talking about here, like, okay, is the sister screaming in the dream or not? You know, we don't really know, and maybe we don't want to know. Maybe you as the author, maybe you don't want us to know. But because of that, we aren't super grounded at the very beginning, which is
Can
neither
I ask you
necessarily
a
good or
question?
I'm
bad.
gonna push back. Oh, go ahead, Morgan.
Where are they? Where is she?
I assume a bedroom, but good points. We can ground a little bit there. I'm actually going to push back on if you start with a dream sequence. If I decide as the reader to keep reading, I agree that I am not grounded in reality, and I will give you a little bit of room to get there.
Okay. I mean, I can see that. I think for me, I just don't know what to do. I'll push back one more time. I just don't know what to do with that line. So,
Mhm.
and I'm not exactly sure because there's so much train. The very first time I read through it, I was reading kind of quickly, and I thought she was waking up like in a real train, having a dream about a train, like with a blanket.
I
Yeah,
think I think
that,
what this tells
yeah,
you is that this is a kind of a controversial subject, right?
Yeah,
And rules are
yeah.
meant to be broken. Rules, right, are meant to be broken. They're meant to be played with. As long as
Mhm.
you know what the risks are and you know what you want to be accomplishing in your piece,
yes,
go for it. That's the
that
important
is the
bit.
key.
And I
Yeah,
trust this author. This author's great. So
yeah.
hopefully that discussion helped you or made you think about your piece in a new way and made, this already incredible first page. Please tell us in the chat if you want to disclose who you are, what you're doing, maybe how this piece is going. We'd love to hear if it's published or where we can buy it. It's
It's
very
fantastic.
interesting.
I would keep reading this absolutely positively. This is absolutely amazing. So, yeah. All right.
Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, like Molly said, please give us a like, a thumbs up, whatever. Submit your pages to us. You can find us at semisagesofthepages.com. If you need a writing community to support you, make you feel more connected, give you more advice, where can they find that?
Discord, we are trying to build the largest positive community of writers. So please come join our Discord. We have a lot of amazing things on there, from beta readers to writing advice to sprints. We just started sprints now, thanks to the fabulous Chris Banner. We have our Race to Rejection. So much available for you on our Discord. So come play.
All right. What are you doing here?
Oh,
Go right.
or
Yeah.
go to sleep, go have a dream.